For my project for Dr. Owens, I interviewed two people at my school to get two differing views on hope and promise. The first person I interviewed was a student. She was female, 14 years old, African American, who was actually born in Africa. She is a pre-AP student who has aspirations of one day becoming a pediatrician. Each person was asked the same questions, slightly modified though for their perspective. So for this student, I asked her, how do teachers group students in your classes? And she said some teachers will do assigned seats and some will let you sit where you want. And when I asked her how you feel when you're a group of students of different abilities, she said, ones who are stronger make the work easier. So the stronger students help make the work easier. They keep pace better. The lower students, when she's grouped with lower students, she feels that she has to explain more and take on a leadership role and take on more of the work. And I asked her, if you had your way, how would you like to be grouped? She would like to be grouped with the serious students who can keep up, and the rest of the students would be who she gets along well with. When I asked her like more of a breakdown, she said if there was about 4 students in the group, herself and another strong student, and then she could have like 2 of her friends who may not be as strong as them, but can keep pace with the work. When I asked her, how do you want your teachers to treat you in the classroom? She said, I want them to treat me the way that I treat them, with respect. She said, I asked, have teachers ever made you feel smart? And she said, yes, previously, but no one at this school. Do you feel that, and I asked her if race has played a part in your education. She said no. She's never felt any racism at school. When told that the United States has promised to educate the citizens of all the citizens in America, do you feel that all students are educated to the same level? And she said no, that students who have different levels of intelligence, or some may not catch on to the topic. So she's feels for the kids who are not as strong academically as she is, that they may not be able to go as far because their lack of abilities is going to hold them back. And I asked, what do you hope for your education? She actually wanted the kids that who are not catching on as quickly, that they can get the resources to be brought up to speed. Pardon me. And what kind of education do you want? She wants to go to college. She wants to become a pediatrician. And I followed that up with, do you know the type of courses in high school that you need to take to achieve your goal? And she was not aware yet of what she needed to do for high school. Granted that the students have not had a chance to meet with the high school counselors yet, but I feel that since I'm at a Title I school, that the students at our school are at a slight disadvantage because the students who, with more affluent areas, their parents are actually more proactive about this, and they're already taking on the initiative to get their kids who wish to go to college more academically prepared for high school and for college. The next person I interviewed was a teacher on my team, white, female, early 60s. She's been teaching 30 years. Almost all of her teaching experience has been in Title I type schools. And they ranged from Spring Branch ISD, Alief ISD, Katy ISD, and she taught for many years in Payson, Arizona. Payson, Arizona is halfway between Phoenix and Flagstaff. It's up in the mountains. Uh, when I asked, for a description of the area, she said Breaking Bad, and which was filmed in Albuquerque, but meth was meth, drugs, that type of thing was a really big problem in her area. So it was similar to what she's experienced here in the Houston area. Similar questions to what was asked previously. How do you group students in your class? She said she honestly doesn't. She lets them group with who they want to. She said they get more work done that way. If they can't work together, then she'll separate one of those students, and then that person has to become an individual learner for the day. And that the next day is a brand new day, and that student can go back to work with their group that they were with. She allows them, they group themselves. She said surprisingly they will group themselves. And then sometimes they'll learn that they need to pull in somebody who's stronger than them. And she likes when they learn that, because it shows her then that they're taking initiative for their learning. How do your students feel when they're a group of students of different abilities? They don't like it because the lower students, they're quiet, they don't speak up, they feel that they have nothing to offer. The higher level students then feel that they have to be the tutors, always helping and not learning on their own. That echoes what my students said, that the higher students then feel like they have to teach the younger students. And that's not fair to them. When I asked my teammate, if you had your way, how would you group students? She said heterogeneous groupings always. She would get rid of pre-AP and GT classes, and she would pull them in with the academic students, so there's an even split. But she would pull the lowest students out, then mix everyone else. When I followed up with why would you pull the lowest ones out, she said the learning gaps are too broad. They can't keep up, and they also have a stigma for being in the lowest group. And then why subject them to that stigma, that constant, everyday, getting pulled out again, when even if you have a co-teacher in the classroom, they're going to get pulled out. The co-teacher is going to be there with them. It's not fair to those students to be constantly being segregated like that. How do you treat your students in the classroom? To be fair, she tries to treat everyone the same. She doesn't see color until they bring it up. The N-word was used in her class this week, and she said the student said that was a part of his vocabulary, but she does not allow that in her classroom. Now, when I then followed up with, now how do you actually treat them? Is there a difference between your model and the actual what you do in the classroom? And she says probably once in a while, but she'd be hard pressed for an example. She says it's more of a gender effect now than it is a race effect, because the girls, which are you would think are typically quieter, they're actually getting louder. So she feels that she's having to put more attention onto the female students than the males. How do you make your students feel smart? She said, I validate all questions, praise when they have a good answer, give them a pat on the shoulder, compliment good work, and quality praise. She'll put smiley faces on paper. So she's trying to validate what they're doing, show them that you can do good work, you can do this. Do you feel that race has played a part in education in your experience? She said yes, but the students' own stereotypes are more embedded than hers. There's exceptions to stereotypes, but in her experience, she's felt that the students bring more of the race in than she's ever brought in. While she did qualify, though, and say that she's never taught inner city or really poor school districts, so she doesn't know if that makes a difference. And to counter that, she's also said she's never taught at a very affluent school either. United States has promised to educate the citizens. Do you feel that all students are educated to the same level? And she says, no, it's not our fault. We try, but not all students can move at the same pace. There's not the same buy-in. It's not, and it's not that they can't or won't. There's so many layers to the issues that we can't seem to get to the true issue, to figure it out because it seems like it's a flexible target and it's always moving. So we can't put our fingers on what it is. I followed up. Can you point to significant instances where education is being deprived to students? She said at the junior high level, there's social development, puberty, home, and it depends on them, and they don't know that yet, and reading levels. We need to bring the reading levels up. What do you hope for in education? She would like to get away from testing because that's thwarting the creative teachers and students. It's not telling us anything we don't already know. The students need to be able to read. Reading levels need to change. How can we get them to read at an appropriate level? And what kind of education do you want for your students? She would like students to get more of a worldview, exposure to other ideas, discussions of controversial ideas, and open-mindedness. I'm going to leave us off with Val. Her name's Val, and what's her final comments on how she feels nearing the end of her career.
I'm so set in my ways. I've tried everything that's come down the pike. I've tried to do it every way they ever tell me to ever do it. It doesn't work for me. You know, I don't know if it's because of the kind of person I am. I don't know if it's the teacher that I don't know. I just don't think it works. And there's a lot of other people that seem to be able to make it work. That's sometimes why I think I have to get out of the profession because I think I'm not loosey enough. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But it's not a control issue because I don't care if the kids are in control or if I'm in control. It's not because I'd rather rabbit trail all day long than do a lesson. I'd rather do that. And so that isn't it. It's not about control. It's about there's just no creativity going on. And the discussion part, these kids want to talk. Whether it's with each other or with us or about something, you get them. You know that, Tim. They want to talk. They want to know. They want to know about that. They just don't know that they want to know about that. And so we've got to somehow, and they're not going to get that from reading something or I don't know. I don't know. This Noah thing,